Now, the final example that I'm going to talk about is something called the Hyper API. So this is the kind of this is the granddaddy of if you wanted to really customize something to meet your requirements, and you needed something very bespoke, you could use the Hyper API and the REST API. So the Hyper API is an API that you can use to actually build these hyper databases outside of Tableau in your own environment. And then you can use the REST API to push that hyper database up to Tableau server, so that hyper database is ready for your users. A particular use case that you might want to use this is if you've got really complex data and you need to have some really custom connections. Tableau connects to an extremely large number of data sources out of the box, but it might be the case that you need to do something very bespoke. Perhaps you need to do some web scraping, perhaps you need to connect to an internal API, perhaps you need to connect to a legacy database that the drivers are difficult to use. Then you could write some code to do all of this extraction and transformation yourself, perhaps using something like Python, and then you could use the Hyper API to take all that data that you processed and to combine that into a hyper database. We actually have a customer that uses an embedded application, and their web application actually allows their customers to upload files to their web portal, and they use this methodology to actually process those files into a hyper database and actually load that dynamically onto Tableau server. So yes, this is a very customized option that you can use. It's definitely the most difficult to deploy, but it also has the greatest level of flexibility.